Hello, in this video I'm going to explain you how to establish community of practice. And indeed, the questions how to establish a community of practice is not so much complicated and difficult. The most important point of this issue is why you need community of practice. Because you must be justified, you must be convinced that you really need this community of practice, such kind of community for the learning, for socializing purposes. And indeed, if you are really small company or it really is not very large corporation, maybe you don't need community of practice. Maybe you are quite communicative enough inside of your organization. So community of practice is something that really needed for the large companies and large corporations with a lot of departments, with a lot of workers, with a lot of working units that do not communicate really very well between each other. And the work, where the work is much more complicated with a lot of functions, with a lot of spheres of activities in the companies of corporations. Those big companies and corporations, they really need a community of practice, establishing internal communities for learning and for socializing purposes. So what are the real indicators that you really need community of practice? And those indicators are really very simple. One of indicators could be if you see that different departments or working unit does not communicate really well, that influence on bad work conditions or bad work atmosphere or late delivery of products or services. That's one of the most important indicators that you really need to establish a community of practice inside your organization. And when you, as the chief or as the head of a company or organization, organize different kind of work, you try to operationalize different working functions, operationalize different work procedures in your organization. And the workers are those subjects that faces all your system of work operationalization. And communities of practice helps to give you very good feedback how those operation works within your organization, within your companies. So when you plan your work and you lay down to all the working units, communities are those subjects or those companies that give you very clear feedback what does not work really very well within company implementing one or other functions. That's why it's very important to establish a community of practice in really large or organization or companies with a lot of units, with a lot of workers, more than 100 or 200 workers, where a lot of, or even could say that even thousands of workers operates within a company or corporation. Community of practice helps them to exchange knowledge and skills and give the best solution for the different operations in their work. So community of practice could be established in the companies or corporation, but not only. Communities of practice could be established as a special units by the association, different international organization that needs really to gather particular group of professionals that do not maybe communicate really well or even do not socialize together well. So you see that community of practice are mostly for two purposes: for learning purposes and for socializing purposes. And both of those purposes are really very equally important. So community of practice could be established in the large corporations, large companies where they have thousands of workers and a lot of units for communication, better work conditions, implementation. But they can be established across the very different scopes of geographical areas at the regional level, gathering particular professionals in the specific area. They can be established at the national level, or they can be also established at the international level. And the most important thing is to gather particular professionals for learning and for socializing.